Welcome to Glitch Cube, we're a gaming podcast, and each week we take a deeper look into the art of video games. I'm Christian.
And I'm Chris.
And hello. Here we are again with another exciting week. And we are playing off of the last little comment we made on last week's episode, where Chris here actually challenged me to a duel. I guess we have to come up with a better name for it, right? Because it's not really a duel. It's more of a challenge to play a game that I've never played before, right? Mm-hmm. And this one, if you guys didn't listen to last week's episode, recommend you do. It's a fun one on Beautiful Joe. But we decided to play Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. Whew, long title, but fantastic little game here. And I know that, Chris, you have a lot of nostalgia attached to this game. This was my first time playing through it, and I'm really excited to talk about it with you because it's just been a fun experience, but definitely we'll be going into that much more later on in the episode. But I do want to hear your thoughts. Like, what drew you to this game? What made you love it? Or just tell me why you like it so much and why you recommended it.
Well, I played this originally when it came out, and it wasn't the first RPG I ever played, but it was probably the first one I ever beat. And I just remember, being a kid, I was like any other kid. I loved Mario, right? And I remember being, I think it was a Toys R Us, because it's usually where I went for games. And I saw it, and I was like, oh, wow, I've never heard of this one before. This one looks kind of cool. And picked it up. And at first I was confused, because I'm like, this isn't your normal Mario, right? You're not running back and forth on the stage. Mm-hmm. This is... it's open world. And I was like, this is crazy. And before this time, the only RPGs I really played were Final Fantasy Legend, mm-hmm. and the Game Boy ones. A lot of Game Boy RPGs, which there weren't that many, but I played them and they were hard, right? So when I played this game, it was simple to me. And because of that, I was able to actually beat it. And I fell in love with this game just because it made me feel powerful without making the game too easy. Mm-hmm. The music was fantastic. The characters are awesome because it's Mario. And I think to me, to this day, it's still my most favorite RPG. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say favorite game of all time, but it's up there. And another thing, I played this recently, right? I didn't play it for this episode, but I played it maybe about a year ago or so to test my nostalgia to see if it still lived up to it. And honestly, it did. It's one of the few titles that for me is still good after all this time. Granted, nowadays I can look at it a more analytical way, okay, this is going to make the game even easier. Let's do this. I can understand it better, but I still enjoyed it. And I think this game really paved the way for a lot of different ideas that we see in RPGs, which I think is awesome. The battle system introduced, pressing the button at the right time and all this. And it made it so interactive. And I think me being young when this came out, it was what I needed. Mm-hmm. And ever since this game, I've loved RPGs.
Yeah, it's a fantastic little title, and I remember I saw it a lot when I was growing up, but I never actually picked it up. And I really wish I did when I was younger, because playing through it now, I'm just enjoying the hell out of it. It's such a fun little title, and I'm realizing now it is the perfect introduction to an RPG. And I feel like they really blended the traditional Mario gameplay that you come to expect with a new twist on it, right? Mario is a platforming adventure game, right? So you want to be able to control the characters. You want to be able to move around. You want to be able to jump and collect things and do all that fun stuff. And this game allows you to do that, which is pretty fantastic. but in a very different kind of way. And I think it was really smart of them to do that so that people really, like they don't feel like this isn't a Mario game, right? They don't feel like it's just an RPG like your Final Fantasies or something like that with Mario skin on it. It's because it's so much more than that. I don't know, man. Like, there's so much to this title, and I just have been having so much fun playing it. Like, I really cannot stress enough how much of a great introduction to RPGs this game actually is. And this is me coming at it from, this game came out in 1996, right? And I'm still think that this is a great way to, get kids or people or just anybody who hasn't played an RPG excited about it, right? So it's nuts. And when this game came out, North America in the market, like, they were not into RPGs. Like, they were not selling very well. So this was a very, very smart way of introducing it. Super, super cool. And coming at it from like a design perspective, like the things, something as simple as like the battle UI itself. Like, so when you get into fights, like, the traditional way in which you fight in this game is it's turn-based battles, right? It's an RPG, so it has that style into it. And when you run into the enemies on the map, you entice a battle, right? And I really loved how simple the UI was. It's not muddied with every single decision that you can potentially make. It doesn't have like all the crazy options, the stats everywhere. Like, it's really, really like pared down, which is nice. And you start seeing different things. So like, if you press A, then you see all the different options you have to attack with. If you press Y, then you start seeing, like, the options open up, but after you press the corresponding button that's related to it. So you're never like overloaded with too much information, and it allows the player to learn at their own pace, which I thought was really, really well done. And just another thing to add on to the fact that, like, yes, to remind people that this is coming from a game that is much more action oriented and where you have a lot more things to do. You mentioned it where they added in like the time button presses, right? Where like if you do them correctly, you actually do much, much more damage. And you have to learn the rhythm and the timing of each one of your new attacks, which I thought was really cool. But then they also did it for the defense as well. So you can actually time it so that you kind of want to fight people and learn their attack patterns, so then you can start timing things properly for right before they hit you, so then you can almost negate, like, for some enemies, you can completely negate all the damage altogether, right? Like, you can get hit with zeros, like, if you're really good enough. So it's, I don't know, man, like, this is a lot. But it's been really, really fun playing through it, like I said. I just want to thank you a lot for, you've talked about it so much while we've done the show, and you brought it up so many times, and it's been one that's been on my bucket list, but I just never tried it out. And I'm happy that you made me play this game, because it's a joy. It's a gem, man.
It really is. And it's interesting thinking that, like you said, it came out in 95, 96, which, N64 was already out by this point. So like, this was like one of the console's like last hoorahs. And I mean, what a way to really like end the console. I wish that, probably would have gotten picked up by more people, because I feel like at that point everyone wanted an N64.
Right.
But I love this game. And people a lot of times say, oh, Paper Mario is like the sequel to this game, and that's what it went to. And I love Paper Mario.
What's a spiritual successor?
Yeah. Like, exactly. And like the two GameCube games, they were, or not two, the regular Paper Mario and Thousand Year Door, like, they're great. They're different, but they're great. And I mean, the Mario and Luigi games kind of kept that tradition, and they're fun, but none of them have this magic that this game has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I feel like this game revolutionized the way in which we envision Mario, but it also came out at like just a bad time, which kind of sucks, because it came out around the time that Super Mario 64 was coming out too, right? And like, that is the iconic image that we think of of Mario now. Like, it's what we compare all the new Mario games to, right? It's the formula that they took and expanded the brand on. So it's kind of a shame, right? Like that, like this game had so much potential to change what Mario can be. And I mean, I feel like it still accomplished that goal, but it might have got overshadowed by Super Mario 64, which is something that people are a lot more familiar with. It took like the platforming aspect and just made that 3D. But this took platforming and made it turn-based, right? It made it like adventure and like exploration and exposition. So it's revolutionary in a very different way, but I feel like it might have got overshadowed a little bit because RPGs still weren't as popular in the North American market during this time.
Yeah. And with it being Squaresoft, I don't know if this was the last Squaresoft game.
I believe it was.
I think
it was. After this one, then they branched off and did their own things.
Yeah, because I think Final Fantasy VI came out before this, or 3, so this was kind of like their last contribution to the system, and it's like, damn, if they would have stayed with Nintendo afterwards, we probably could have seen another. But going back to what you said, like Mario jumping and stuff, I love that this game, where one of his powers, he has the regular jump, but then there's a move you get later on where if you keep pressing the button at the right time, he can just keep jumping.
Right.
And later on, there is a dojo you go to, and if you can hit it 100 times, like, you get a special item.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's interesting because that item really does make a difference. And I don't know, it's just cool. Like, I really love how they incorporated the typical Mario things into this world. And the lands, like, I love almost every, like, kind of area that you go to. It's, in the beginning, you're in the Mushroom Kingdom, which is cool. You go to the castle and you have your little village, and you meet Malo, and it's cool. The seeing the town get taken over by those guys on the pogo sticks, and
the shy guys jumping around. Yeah,
it's cool. And actually, I realized we didn't even talk about kind of like the story of this, but it's nothing too deep. Basically, this sword, you're trying to save Peach from Bowser, right? You're having this epic battle on a chandelier, and out of nowhere, this sword with a face just lodges itself into the castle, knocking you both out. And you realize, oh, this sword named, it's not the sword's name, but Smithy, the main enemy in this game.
The Smithy gang, right? His name, what's his name? Exus or something like that?
I think, it's something like that. And they've taken over the kingdom, and Bowser's lost control, right? And you realize, like, we need to do something, because you don't know where Peach went either. So, well, Peach was taken by Bowser, I think, and flew away.
They both, like, when the sword hit, they both got exploded out from the castle, or all three of the characters did. So, like, you end up going through the world and finding them along the way, which is cool.
Right. And it's interesting seeing, like, how this Smithy gang really, like, kind of takes over the different areas, as well as, like, Bowser still having his influence in certain regions. But so in order to get access to this sword, or to create a bridge back to the castle, because the bridge is obviously destroyed, you have to collect 7 stars, which is going back to the title. So basically, each of these stages that you go to in the different areas all have a boss that you beat for a star. And with the first one, Mushroom Kingdom, you're fighting this big dude that bounces on a sword.
Yeah, it's the knife named Mac, right?
Mac, yeah. And I liked it because leading up to this moment, it's not a hard fight. Right before this, you fight the Hammer Brothers and you get your hammer, which is like, one of the main weapons Mario can have aside from his fist or a Koopa shell. And I thought that there was a great way of kind of introducing people into the battle system. And the music alone for the Mushroom Kingdom was just awesome. Like, I can still hear it pretty clearly in my head without having played it in a long time. And going over the other zones real quick, at least the ones that meant a lot to me. The second area you go into, I think it's like the Pond of Pipes, and it's where you first meet the enemy. I think it's Bellevue, not Bellevue, but it's like this fat cat.
Oh yeah, the one that eats you, and makes your party or one of your party members disappear for a little bit.
Yeah, like that fight was one of the first challenging ones for me, but not too difficult. But this area was cool because, this is where you actually get Mala to join your party, and you get to hang out with tadpoles. And it's cool because they incorporate you making songs, and if you make the correct songs, you get items or frog points, which you can spend on, decent items.
Right.
And I think there's like 4 or 5 songs you can make with it, and it's a really cool feature. Like the songs are actually kind of cute. And then, you catch up to this town called Rose Town, which seems just like an ordinary town at first. You meet this doll named Gino, which is kind of weird and silent. Mm-hmm. You come back and you notice it's raining. And what happens is all the villagers are turning to stone. You're like, what's going on? And Gino is basically, you follow him into the forest. And this was the first hard part of the game for me. Fighting this boss named, I think it's Boyer. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why, but this one was so hard because basically, you fight this boss and they have these blocks around you, right? Which look like your button, X, Y, and A. And if his arrow landed on one of those, you couldn't use anything from that button. So if you were going to use your regular attack and it hits I think it's A button, mm-hmm. You can't use it. You have to use a special or an item. And I thought it was a really cool mechanic. And I really liked that boss later on, realizing like, oh, this was actually different and interesting.
Yeah, added extra challenge to it.
And, after that, you get to meet Yoshi on his island and participate in Yoshi races, which I thought was kind of cool.
But and you meet Boshi, the greatest character ever.
Yeah, Boshi with his little shades.
Yeah, it's basically the Wario to Yoshi. So he's just a purple.
It really
version.
Is.
Yeah, it's a purple version of Yoshi, and he has his shades, and he's just a dick.
It'd be kind of cool, like the next Wario game, if he had Boshi as like his Yoshi.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That'd be so cool.
Right.
Man, I just want to see these characters again, though. Like, I want to see Mallow, and I want to see him in a game. This is the only game that he's in, which sucks.
Yeah. I mean, even Gino, like all of these characters, it'd be cool to see him again.
Yeah.
And real quick, like the next world you go into is probably my favorite. Like the Mole Mountains. I love this area because, you start out like in a mining village. And you get a mini game where you're riding a mine cart and you have to stay on the tracks, which I thought was kind of cool. It kind of reminded me of like a Donkey Kong Country kind of level.
Right.
And after that, you meet Booster, which this is where you run into Bowser and Peach. And Booster wants to marry Peach. So you gotta free her by climbing up this crazy high tower with Bowser, which is crazy to think that you're teaming up with your enemy.
Yeah.
And I don't know, something about that mixed with Marrymore, which is the town after where people get married. And basically you have to foil Booster from getting married to Peach. And I love that there's a lot of different things you can do. But during the ceremony, you have a time limit of finding these like 4 items. And if you find them all, you get a kiss from Peach. But if you don't, you get a kiss from either Booster or Bowser or both.
Oh, that's funny.
And I don't know, something about that, like that's where my nostalgia hits on that little area. Because it's so vivid to me, But after that, like there's a lot of cool lands too. I don't want to go and spoil the rest of it, but the beauty of Nimbus Land with the floating city, and it's just, there's so many things of this game. It's like, damn, like, I don't know. I just love it.
Well, and the Starland with the people's wishes as well is super cool. Like such an iconic little thing. And it's such a nice like nod or a nice touch because like the wishes when you read them, it's random stars that are just kind of strewn about this map. But whenever you actually read the wishes, you can like almost guess which characters throughout the game the wishes come from. And at one point, one of the wishes that you interact with, Mallow hops out and he's like, "Hey, that's private." So it's like actually his wish, right? Like the writing in this is just fantastic, and it just makes it that much more fun, and just it really like makes you feel for these characters. And like one of the things I really want to talk about is character development throughout this game, because it's massive in here. Like Mario plays the typical silent protagonist throughout the game, and I really love the way he interacts with the world around him, where he is the legendary Mario. He is Super Mario in this world, so he's well known, right? But the thing he's most well known for, it's not for, you know, like beating Bowser continuously, because they kind of make it a joke that like, oh, Peach got, you know, kidnapped again. Oh no. Like, right, like it's kind of funny where like even Mario lives like right next door to Bowser's castle, so he doesn't have to like travel that far whenever he does kidnap Peach again, right? Like he's just like right there. It's like, all right, 5-minute walk, it's cool. I'll go get her real quick, right, and then I'll bring her back. But he's known for his jumping, so a lot of the NPCs that you interact with throughout the maps, they ask you like, oh, can you prove that you're Mario and show me your cool jumping skills? So if you actually like hit the jump button, he'll do like a flip or something, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, so cool!" Right? Like you are Super Mario, you can jump real high. So I love that little like it's a cute aspect to give to Mario, because he doesn't really have a lot going on as far as like further character development there. But then you have these characters like Mallow. I think Mallow is such a beautiful story for him, where like he grew up with the tadpoles, thinking he was a tadpole and a frog this whole time, but really he's a cloud. And then after he finds out that he's not actually a tadpole, he joins Mario's party and wants to, you know, find his real parents and find out where he's from. But I think it's great because like Mario is Mallow's hero, and he throughout the entire game, it feels like he is trying to become Mario, right? Like he's trying to embody the bravery and like the strength to defend the people that he loves, like throughout this entire game. And you see it in like his dialogue, which I thought was really, really clever. And then with the introduction of Geno, like the story isn't really like explained to you very well, I would say, in the beginning before Geno shows up. Like when you get your first star piece and they're like, oh, this is cool, right? But like no one really like says like exactly what the star pieces are for, or like gives the importance of them. And then Geno shows up and he kind of becomes like the exposition like delivery service for the players, right? Like he's kind of like tied up with everything, which I thought was really, really interesting. And it shows it, like it gives it like a subtle nod when Geno's introduced through the music itself, which I thought was really clever. So whenever you get your first star piece, it plays a very specific sound or specific music behind it. But then whenever Geno wakes up, it plays kind of a remix of that same star music. So you're like, oh, this is important, right? Like this is tied together. And like throughout the entire game, there's these little tiny nods like that to like the importance of things or how things are tied together, with like subtle variations on songs that you might have heard before, or classic Mario songs that you just have learned to grow, to love over time from the previous games. So it's just really, really clever. I really like how they did that a lot. But I think the most interesting character development, let's talk about Bowser, right? Like so all the rest of the games, Bowser is just, the antagonist that Mario has to beat. He's kidnapping Peach and he's the evil ruler, the evil, the bad king, right? So you just have to keep fighting him and keep defeating him over time. But in this one, it actually, like the first time you see Bowser, you see him crying. And he's crying because he misses his town. He misses his castle. He misses like ruling over his, like all the people there, and like he just misses his life. And I thought it was so funny. Like I have it written down because I love this little like nod to Bowser and like his insecurities as a person. Like Bowser writes a haiku in this game, man. Like it's so crazy. So the haiku is this. It's like the moon over the day my genius and brawn are lost on these fools. So like it shows like, oh, like, you know, like he feels like he's so much more than what people or like see him as. But then it also shows like his cockiness at the same time, right? So it's like it's showing like how he's hiding his insecurities with his cockiness, and like how he thinks that he's kind of above everyone, like he is a king, right? So it makes sense. But it's just, man, I love those little things that they add into this. And it kind of like the way that Bowser's portrayed is almost, it seems like it's continued on in other titles as well, right? Where it's like you'll see Bowser kind of look down and he's like, oh crap. And then I think in Odyssey it happens where like Bowser looks really sad, and then you see Mario just kind of like pat him on his back. And he's like, man, it's cool. Like, you're good. You can get up. But then they end up fighting again, right? Like, so it's kind of funny.
Mhm.
Like, there's like a weird connection between them where it's just like this sense of understanding, which I thought was really just interesting. It was so weird to see, but I absolutely loved it. Yeah. It's really cool. Man, it's so funny to talk about like character development in a Mario game.
Yeah.
Because like
And
you don't expect that. So
I love like the differences too, like when they're in your party, like how, you know, Malo's kind of like your mage. He has like his magic skills, which I feel like a lot of times you don't really see an elemental difference with the enemies.
right.
It's more so just if they're weaker to magic, but it's still kind of like a cool little touch because Mario has the fire,
Right.
obviously has fireballs. Malo's more like lightning.
He controls
And
the
then
weather. When he cries, it rains.
Yeah. Gino, like I loved having Gino in my party.
Mhm.
You know, his beam attack, everything about it was just overpowered.
Mhm.
And, you know, Peach is the healer, and she ends up being pretty strong if you get like her special weapon, because every character has their special weapon.
Mhm.
You know, just like any other like Squaresoft game, they always have an ultimate weapon.
Right.
And with her, like it's strong, you know, it smacks. And Bowser, well, I didn't really like having Bowser in my party because, yeah, he's strong, like really, really strong, but his specials just, I don't know, didn't click for me.
Mhm.
Like the poison cloud, the big stompy thing, like, I don't know. But I do like going back to what you said about like the character, like growth. Like it's interesting seeing some of these characters grow throughout the game. Like the added backstories, like at least for the game, you know, it's not going deep in the lore, but it's interesting seeing, you know, Malo kind of grow up. It's cool seeing Gino, like you learn more about him throughout the game.
Mhm.
And even like seeing like Bowser's kind of like softer side, I guess you could say. It's really cool. And I think even like the NPCs, like in certain areas, like if you actually talk to a lot of them, you learn a lot about the areas. And it's fascinating because going back to what we said about, you know, this is a great RPG for a beginner, it really does have that immersiveness in it. And there are a lot of like secrets you can find in the game, which I think is awesome. You know, when I actually played it as a kid, even though I still have my strategy guide from back then.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I didn't look at like some of the stuff you can unlock. So when I played through it again recently, I was like, oh, I'm gonna get all these things I never got, you know. And there's like secret merchants. There's even a little casino.
Oh wow.
There's Cluix, which is the special secret boss.
Mhm.
Who it's really cool. You know, you have to do little jump over hurdles and stuff to get the right items, but when you fight it, it's this like purple, very Final Fantasy looking enemy with these different crystals, and each crystal is weak to a certain thing. You know, sometimes it's physical attack, magic, like it varies. And then you have to fight the boss, and this boss has like quadruple the health of anything else. Like you kind of have to be close to max level to beat it,
Right.
which in this game max level I think is only 27. So
I feel like you can get up to 30, but I'm not
it
sure.
might be 30.
Yeah.
I think it might be 30. So but if you don't want to fight that boss, I mean, you can beat the game at like I think level 22, 25, you know, but if you get to 30, it's easier.
Right.
But something I love about the leveling system in this game is that you kind of have a choice of which stats you want to prioritize, right? You have HP, you have attack, and I think the third one is
magic.
it special attack,
Yeah,
magic, yeah. And you know, basically your stats are always going to go up when you level, but picking one of these, it'll be like an extra point or two. With some levels, there's a possibility on one of them giving you a higher boost. And when I first played the game, that's what I did. I always picked the highest boost because it just makes sense. But this time around, you know, like for Mario, I did it where I just focused purely on health and attack. I didn't do anything with magic. And it's interesting how even the slight little number change between it does kind of make a difference in the sense like, oh, I'm actually hitting for more than, you know, when I played it the other way.
Right.
And I thought it was a really cool way of leveling up. You know, it doesn't give you complete control over your build, but it does give you that like accomplishment of leveling up. You know,
it gives you options too, and I think that's such a nice thing to add in for people who are more seasoned with RPGs, right? Like no matter what, your stats are going to continue to grow, right? But the nice thing about this system is, you know, someone who's seasoned at RPGs, they can tell right off the bat from the movesets of like what kind of character this is supposed to be, whether it's a white mage, a black mage, an attacker, you know, like your tank people, you know, you can kind of, you get the vibe, right? And so the way that the level up system works, you being able to put a couple extra points in a specific stat gives you that sense of customization, right? So like with Gino, like you can just keep dumping magic into him. Same thing with like with Mallow, right? That's all I did was just keep dumping magic and health into him, and it made more sense. And I did the same thing with Mario. I just kept putting attack into him because all of his stuff is very physical. Like, yeah, he has the fireball, but I mainly just kept using jump, right? Jump or some sort of physical ability of his. So it just made sense to just keep giving him attack, right? So it just allows you to further customize your characters, and it gives the people who, like I said, are familiar with RPGs something more to play with, which is nice. So, and then not just that, being able to play around with your party so you can swap characters out whenever you need to or want to. It's a fun way to kind of like just test things out and see which party makeup works best for you. Because there isn't really like a right answer to anything. It's just all based on personal preference. I mean, you can beat the game with, you know, if you want to go classic with it, you can just have Mario, Bowser, Peach, right? And you'll be fine. But if you want to play with some of these like cool, or I would say cooler characters, like throw Gino in, right? Because it's something different, something new that you can learn from. And it's really, really clever the way that they added that in. So it gives something for the people who are not familiar with RPGs and then the ones who are well versed in them as well.
Something I thought was cool, like what you're saying, like the cooler characters, was that, you know, it was that perfect mix of, you know, the Mario franchise with something original with Squaresoft. You know, I always looked at this kind of like how Kingdom Hearts, you know, it's the mixture of Square Enix with Disney. And there it was pretty equal for the first two games, and after that it mostly went down to more Final Fantasy, like Squaresoft kind of IPs than Disney.
Right.
With this, you know, it felt the original like Squaresoft monsters and even the characters like Gino and Mallow, it felt right. Like it felt in place. You know, it didn't feel like something just thrown in there from a different kind of game. Like these characters felt like they actually would be in a Mario game. And that's the thing too with the enemies is like
everything
they
fits.
don't look out of place.
Yeah.
Like they fit the Mario world perfectly. And I mean, it's when you think about it, it's like, man, which one of these characters wouldn't be a Nintendo character? But when you think about it, probably 70%, 80% of the enemies in this game are not from a normal Mario franchise. So it's cool to see how much creativity was thrown in this game. And I love it because it just felt like it was equal between both IPs. And I don't know, it's just cool. You know, I really wish like we could explore more of the Mario world this way.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think the only character throughout this entire game that doesn't actually fit really with the Mario universe is Kulex, the secret boss at the end. But by that time, you are well versed in RPGs. You know what you're doing. You want a challenge, and you probably are a little bit older because you had to do a few extra things to get there, right? Like, so it makes sense that Square decided to flex a little bit and throw in one of these characters. So definitely really cool. But I want to talk a little bit, like we touched on the music a little bit throughout this episode, but at the end, or getting closer to the end of this episode, I want to bring up some tracks that I've thought personally were just amazing. So like the first one, obviously, Happy Adventure, Delightful Adventure. It's the first really, like, the main track for the game. It's the first one you hear, and it's just such a great little, like, happy, chipper tune that is just so much fun, and just, like, yeah, it speaks volumes for this game. I don't know, man. Like, it's really, really good. But then, like, you have other tracks too. Like, I mean, the one I absolutely love was like Let's Play Gino, right? Like, it's the introduction to Gino, and it's such a heartwarming moment too when you meet him, because he's playing Mario with this little kid who's like playing with his action figures, and he has action figures of Mario, Bowser, Peach, and then some other characters, and you see the action figure of Gino there too. So you just had this like really fun, like, little addition in there too. It's just a really, really sweet moment. And then I feel like the fight scenes, like the battle music is so iconic in this game, and just really, really fun because it has that classic like Square, battle theme, but then it's Mario-fied, and it makes it more just, I guess, overall fun. Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it.
For me, like, I really love I think the name is Grandpa and the Delightful Tadpoles, because it has that kind of like tropical sound, and it's just it's so upbeat,
yeah,
and cool. Like, it's a banger for sure. Another one I really like, and this one's more flute heavy, is Let's Do the Fluff Fluff.
Oh, it's a great one.
Yeah, like, it's... I feel like the music in a lot of these worlds are just so, like, fitting for where they are. And I don't know, like, the music in this is just really well done. Like, you wouldn't expect that in a game like this, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, the composer of this game, I forgot her name, and I feel bad for that right now. I mean, it's podcast format. I guess we could look it up. But anyway, she actually went on to score a lot of other Square games, and I think she even worked on like Kingdom Hearts and all that stuff too. Like, she is an iconic composer, and she's done so much work for them. It's really amazing what she's able to do for this. Yoko Shimomura. Yeah. She is an amazing composer, and she worked a lot with Koji Kondo, who's developer and designer, right, for this game, and the original musician for Super Mario. So it's really cool because she was able to mix his music, what he created, and then just like make it even more epic. Like it took it from a platforming, just fun, interesting world, and then it evolved it into something that I guess the best way to say it is like it feels like a real fleshed out world whenever with her revisions on these tracks. So it's really, really cool to see. Well, here.
Yeah.
That's the better way of saying it. My bad. But
yeah, this game has some amazing music. And I mean, I recommend even just people that, maybe haven't played it or played a little bit of it, just like check out the soundtrack. Like a lot of the tunes are just good. Like all of the town musics are great. Like I really love the hardworking moles and good moles.
Yeah.
And the Rippletown music is great. It has that old time kind of like Western kind of music. It's just beautiful.
Just so much greatness here in this game. All right, so how about some final thoughts on this game? I know you've talked a lot about it. We have talked about it quite a bit, quite extensively, but with someone who's maybe still on the fence with trying out this game, what would you say to them?
I mean, regretfully, the only way you can really play it nowadays is either owning the original game, which is very expensive, or, emulating it because for some reason Nintendo... I mean, that's really the only way. Like, for some reason, it's not on Nintendo Switch Online, probably because of, Square Enix, but if you're able to emulate it or even buy it, just any way to play it, I say go for it. Don't look at it as like some easy game that is not worth your time. But, when you look back, this game really did innovate a lot of things. And I think it still holds up. If you have a kid or somebody wants to get into RPGs and might even like Mario, this is really the perfect step. There's not a lot of room for error in this game, and I think it's the perfect introduction, or as even a veteran of RPGs, like it'd be a nice breather or a break.
Yeah, agreed. So whenever I heard about this game, or I've heard about it a lot throughout the years, it's always from someone who played it when they were a kid. And I always felt that nostalgia must be playing a factor into why they enjoy this game so much, because it's kind of an older, RPG. But I can honestly say, like, as someone who has never played it before, this is my first time playing this game, the nostalgia is not a factor. This is a very, very well fleshed out, exciting, fun game. And it is, like you said, it's almost like a breath of fresh air when playing this, because it's not just like being bogged down with so much stuff and like menus and all the crazy UI everywhere and just really difficult boss fights and, the grind. Like, you don't need to do all that stuff. You can just have fun playing as Mario in a different type of experience. And if you enjoy RPGs as much as, we do, this is definitely just a nice, like, kind of relaxing experience. And that's a weird thing to say about an RPG, because usually they're not very relaxing, I would say. Like, it's like playing chess for 40 hours, right? Like, it's a lot, and it can get a little overwhelming sometimes trying to juggle everything. You make sure you get all the stuff for side quests, get all the secret weapons and all that. Like, I remember the first time I played through Final Fantasy VII and how long it took me to get like the ultimate weapon, but I really had to do it. Like, here, it just felt fun to just go through the story and just enjoy the experience. So I would say definitely the nostalgia does not play a factor. This is actually a great title to pick up and play however you can. And if you don't feel comfortable doing emulators, just watch a playthrough of it. It's just as fun, honestly. Like, or just listen to the soundtrack, because that soundtrack is like, even if you haven't played the game, it's gonna bring you back to your childhood. Guarantee it, because of just the way that it's composed, like the chip tunes and all that stuff. It's just great all the way around. Yeah. Okay, so that's going to do it for us this week. We hope you guys have enjoyed our first little endeavor of challenging or, just getting challenged to play a game that you never played before. It's been a really fun experience. I got to be honest. It's been great. But I do have something for you guys. If you want to challenge us to a game that we have not played, I think that would be really fun too. So reach out to us on social medias and let us know which games, the more obscure, the better, or that you guys have played or absolutely love that you don't know anyone else that has played, right? And if we haven't checked it out, we definitely will. And who knows, maybe we'll do an episode about it and, you get some credit on the show. It'd be really fun. But yeah, with that, that's going to do it for us this week. Thank you guys so much for the continued love and support that we can always get. And let's just keep that community growing. So we will talk to you guys next week. And bye.
Bye.